It's really exciting to see the design of the house starting to take shape.
We finished all the tile designs. They're producing the tiles now. We're working on the cabinets.
Whose chair was this, Steve?
My great aunt.
Great aunt's chair that we're renovating.
We're focusing on how things are being produced, how they're being manufactured, transported, how they're being disposed of. All of those things have a carbon cost.
We're trying to think about the life cycle of materials that are part of our ecosystem. I was hoping that the designs would resonate with this idea of just becoming aware of the ecosystem around us.
What happens when a builder and an artist-scientist set out to change the way we make houses by gathering together a collaborative group of artisans to build themselves a low carbon footprint home? CarbonShack.
This is Steve's mycelium pattern.
Wow.
Often when people make greenhouses, that sort of comes out of this post-war, mid-century modern architecture, where we're looking at the industrial process. We're mass-producing homes in order to give people shelter, but those materials are all mass-manufactured in order to achieve the cost savings.
In the modern period, they got rid of all the ornamentation, wanted just clean white surfaces.
And what happened in that architecture is that you really lost the hand of the craftsman, the touch and the feel of a home that was made by a human. So what we're trying to do in our green architecture is bring back that feeling and bring back architectural ornament, which is, really missing from a lot of post-war architecture.
Mycelium are part of the wood wide web. In the forest, all of the root systems are connected by these fungal threads, the mycelium.
The sexual part of the fungi is the mushroom when it comes up, and then the spores disperse to create more mycelium.
It's a beautiful material itself, the patterns that come out of it. He just puts these curves right into the carving. So he doesn't have to play with the line, it's just perfect.
This is the front door. We'll just carve the panels out, Spanish clown doors.
Bueno, la experiencia fue que como me dijeron que iba a ser madera reciclada, en primer lugar como que no estaba yo muy como seguro, ¿verdad?, de que sí iba a ser un buen trabajo. Esta gurbia, que es la uñeta, que nosotros la conocemos por uñeta, es para dividir las uniones, ¿verdad? Así nosotros nos damos una idea para que vaya sacando forma el diseño para irle dando el relieve o el movimiento a la talla.
Mycelium is basically nature's recyclers. They break down the plant materials.
Mycelium are decomposing biomass and bringing it back into the soil so that it can be recuperated by other organisms. And maybe that's the sort of darker side of the carbon cycle.
Yeah. Fungi aid in grabbing nutrients from the soil and minerals because these fungi are super long and fingery and they can reach all these hard to get places in the soil. The way fungi and tree roots interact is as they deliver these nutrients for the tree in turn gives the fungi the sugars it produces. And because there's no sunlight deep down in the soil and because fungi don't have chloroplasts, sugar is obviously a really valuable commodity.
It's this wonderful symbiotic communal relationship.
The mycelium also create a communication network between trees.
For example, trees will send some kind of distress signal about disease or an insect attack or drought. And other trees nearby will alter their behavior when they receive these messages.
Traditionally, I think we thought of a forest as single trees reaching for the sunlight and competing against each other. But in reality, A forest is almost a socialist environment. It's a commune. And trees will share resources through this network of mycelium.
It's changed what people think about plants and trees, and starting to talk about the intelligence of trees. I like how it is kind of like a net or a web.
The first thought I had was to do some kind of a stamp or a stencil underneath a little bit of embroidery. So we could just embroider certain parts of it to coordinate the embroidery to hit where we want on the print. So the total number of stitches is 19,000. Wow. And that counts. The darker would be the ones that are further in the background. That would show the three-dimensionality. The bigger the scale, the more negative space.
What we decided to do was take the overall pattern, shift it 90 degrees, and embroider it back on top of that printed pattern. Mycelium is not fixed. They're growing and they're going in all kinds of different directions. So by twisting that, shifting that pattern, it gives another layer, which you would probably see in nature. You know, these different layers happening in different directions.
At the beginning, we used to do mass production, but now we're trying to do just custom made. For Steve, I'm doing right now a dining set, that 6 chairs, and also we did the dining table, and another small table for the living room. The carpentry we use is like when they used it like 100 years ago. It's not just screws and putting pieces together. No, it's not like that. Different than the way they use today on you know, regular pieces that you buy in the stores.
Lo de las sillas, que yo hice el máster, como el trabajo de la máquina pues también hizo buen trabajo, ¿verdad?
The design is unique. We usually do like flowers or trees and animals, but this is more like doing veins. Yeah, see this? Looks like this.
There's this ick factor about mushrooms and rot and fungus, but looking at waste or trying to rethink waste was partly what we were inspired by. The other side of consumption is waste. The other side of the forest is the rot and the deterioration. Part of, you know, closing the loop and making a sustainable cycle is thinking through the life cycle rather than in this linear process.
Overall, with the finishes, including the cabinets, the flooring, and the fabrics, we were able to save 1.05 tons of CO2 from being released into the atmosphere. In the construction phase, we saved 13.85 tons of CO2 from being released into the atmosphere. All told, building the CarbonShack from start to finish, we saved almost 15 tons of CO2 from being released into the atmosphere. 15 tons, I'm like, this isn't right. Let me check my notes. But yeah, it was a huge win.
Que es algo bien para todos, ¿verdad? Ver que un material que ya estaba como para desecharlo, pues ahora sirve como para comedor, ¿verdad? O como para cocina.
If something's beautiful, you're going to preserve it. That is a green value. So if you make something that's beautiful and people want to keep it, then it's going to be around forever. You've achieved a green goal.
If you're living in a building that is completely disconnected from the natural environment, you're not going to feel connected to the natural environment. And if you live in a building that integrates those things and celebrates those things, that's going to be something that's on your mind a lot more.
Now that we're living here, I'm just struck by how beautiful these different patterns are. It makes me feel really connected to the environment and to the local artists and artisans who are around here and help so much.